For lesson 4.1, Slope-Intercept Form. The slope of a line tells us the steepness of the line. For example, the slope of this line is 2/3. The y-intercept of a line tells us the point where the line crosses the y-axis. In this example, that is 0, 2. Slope-intercept form is a linear equation where m represents the slope of the line and b represents the y-intercept of the line. The slope-intercept form is a formula y equals mx plus b. Here are some examples of what this might look like in the following equations. Y equals 3x plus 5, where the slope is 3 and the y-intercept is 5. Y equals 1/2 x minus 2, the slope is 1/2 and the y-intercept is a -2. Y equals 4 minus x, where the slope is -1 and the y-intercept is 4. And lastly, y equals -5x, where the slope is -5 and the y-intercept is 0. Taking a look at this graph, what would be the equation of this line in slope-intercept form? The slope of this line is 2. We can tell this by looking at 2 points on the graph and finding the rise over run up to over 1 is our slope of 2, and we can see on the graph that it crosses the y-axis at 5. The equation of this line in slope-intercept form is -1/3 x minus 3. You can see that it crosses the y-axis at -3, and we go down 1 and to the right 3 to get to another point on the line, giving us a slope of -1/3. In special cases, we have horizontal lines and vertical lines. We mentioned yesterday when we learned about slope that the slope of a horizontal line is 0 because there is no rise and it's only going right and left, no increasing in the y value. The slope of a vertical line is undefined. When we write the equations of these lines, they look a bit different from the equations of other lines. In this first example, you can see that no matter what the x value is across the line, the y value remains the same at -2. Therefore, the equation of this line is -2. Y equals -2. You could put this into slope-intercept form since the slope is 0, and then 0 times x is 0, leaving us with just y equals -2. Unfortunately, a vertical line, you can see it does not cross the y-axis ever, so we aren't going to be able to plug this into slope-intercept form because the slope is undefined and there is no y-intercept. So all we need to do here is look at the graph and notice that for any value of y, that x value stays +4 for every single value of y, making our equation x equals 4. Now let's talk about how we would graph our own line using the slope-intercept form. First, you're going to plot the y-intercept as the point 0, b, and then you're going to use the slope to plot a second point starting at the y-intercept that you plotted in step 1, and lastly, you'll connect the dots to make your line. Let's give that a try. Y equals 2x plus 3, starting by putting my y-intercept at a +3, and then I'm going to use my slope from that y-intercept and go up to over 1, put another dot there, and then I can connect my dots. You can use a ruler or you can keep going up to and over 1, up to and over 1 until you run out of space. And then you can even go backwards to get the bottom half of the line If you are going to go backwards, you're going to go down 2 and to the left 1. Down and to the left. Our next example has a y-intercept of -1, so we're going to start by plotting that. And then from there, we're going to go -2/5 for our slope. So that's down 2 and to the right 5. And then connecting our dots, there's our line. This one, if you notice, is not in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form has to be written as y equals. So in order to graph this the way we graphed the last two, we are going to need to rewrite it so that it is in slope-intercept form. We'll do that by first subtracting 10 from both sides of the equation. What I get next is a -2y equals x minus 10. The last step I will need to do is divide the entire equation by -2. You can write it by showing that you're dividing every part of the equation by -2, or you could just divide the whole thing by -2 like this. You just need to remember that if you are writing it like this, that you're dividing everything by -2. So we end up with y equals, remember there's a 1 here in front of the x, a slope of -1/2 x, and then a -10 divided by a -2 is +5, meaning our y-intercept is 5, our slope is -1/2, so we go down 1 and to the right 2, and we have our line like that. Here is an example of how you can graph on a graphing calculator should you need to see it quickly to answer a question. How can this apply to any daily situation? There's a lot of situations where we tend to put things into slope-intercept form. Here's an example. A nurse gives a patient 1,500 milliliters of saline, which holds about 22,500 drops at a rate of 30 drops per minute. First, it says, write an equation that shows the volume of saline that is left measured in milliliters over time. So first, we're going to have to figure out how many minutes or how many drops per minute the person will get. So 30 drops per minute at 22,500 drops, that is 750 minutes. And then 1,500 milliliters divided by 750 minutes is 2 milliliters per minute. It means our slope is a loss of 2 milliliters per minute because it is that is how much is remaining is what it asks for. It asks for how much is left, starting with 1,500 milliliters, losing 2 per minute, and then the initial amount is that y-intercept of 1,500.